Okay. Okay, so welcome to Everything Under the Sun, the podcast. This is episode 19, and it is featuring Angie B from Insecure. And we are going to get right into the topic for tonight, which is selfish. And so, Angie, I'm going to let you introduce yourself and talk to us a little bit about Insecure and what that is.
All right, so hey everybody, thanks for joining in. My name is Angelina, but I like to go by Angie B. I'm 29 years old. I'm from Jacksonville. Graduated from the best HBCU
Wait.
in the world.
You got to throw that back. You can't say Jacksonville and not say Duval, girl. Come on.
Oh, Duval. Don't make me get ratchet on here already. I ain't had no wine yet. But graduated from FAMU. I work in the food safety industry right now. Just got married. I'm residing in the Metro Atlanta area right now.
I didn't know you moved to Atlanta.
Yeah, I'm like outside of Macon, but I'm saying Metro Atlanta because like probably next week or the next 2 weeks I'm gonna be in the area because my new job is up there. So
nice, congratulations.
Thank you. I'm already claiming Metro Atlanta. Insecure is basically like my baby that I created this year in 2020. It came about just from me being insecure, honestly, and being tired of being insecure because it was like controlling my life. All my thoughts, all my decisions, everything I was doing was based off of insecure woman, So I got tired of it and I was just like, I don't want to be insecure anymore. I want to be insecured. I want to be cured of this. I'm not completely there yet, but I have learned some things to get me there. So during the process of me getting there, I'm pretty much just, inviting women along the journey with me and trying to encourage them and hoping that they can encourage me as well. So that's how Insecure came about.
Well, that is very exciting. I know that you just started that. How many weeks ago? I feel like it's very recent.
Yeah, I don't even think it's a month old yet. Like, I quit my job. That was the first step. Mm-hmm. And when I did that, like all my thoughts that I've been having all year that I had been putting aside because I didn't have time for because of work, everything just started to just give birth, It just happened. So it's been less than a month, for real. For real.
Okay, so we have a lot of people in the chat already. Hi, thank y'all for tuning in. This is exciting. So let's see. We got people repping Duval in here. Shouts out for this wedding. And then someone said that they should have flew you out a Jello shot. And I'm all for Jello shot. So you should have sent us all some Jello
shots. Sis, I really need a Jello shot. I'm gonna keep drinking this wine. I'm a little shy, but I'm trying to open up a little bit. So y'all gotta give me time to open up.
Okay. So very good. So let's talk briefly because I haven't talked to you since you got married. I knew you were engaged, but how has it been getting married during a pandemic? Did you guys have any delays? Were there any thoughts of like maybe this shouldn't happen right now? Like how did that go?
Honestly, before the pandemic even started, me and my husband always wanted to elope. We had already talked about it. Mm-hmm. When we first started dating, we was like, we wanted to get married. We knew very early on in our relationship we wanted to get married. So the idea of eloping was already there. So when the pandemic came, it was just like another excuse to run off to Savannah. That's where we went. We went to Savannah, Georgia. And we just eloped and we got married with just us two and our puppy. And that was it. So a lot of people, may have felt some type of way. Of course, they wanted to be there. We understand that. That's why we decided to have a reception in March. So that way our family and friends can get into that. So,
perfect. Yeah. Well, I think it's important that y'all did what was best for y'all and y'all did it in y'all's timing, which I think is important that a lot of people, I noticed like, back in March, a lot of people who had spring and summer weddings, they all just decided to postpone and not move forward because they couldn't have everybody there. But I really feel like the wedding ceremony, while it's beautiful and it's important, the marriage is what really matters. And so y'all got to start from the jump doing what's right for y'all. So I'm here for it. And y'all were cute and y'all yellow.
Thank you, girl. Thank you.
Okay, so let's see. Let's start with the first question about the topic. What do you feel like selfish means to you?
Okay. By definition, when you look up the word selfish, it seems negative. It seems like you're not supposed to put yourself first. You're always supposed to be considerate of other people. Mm-hmm. And I feel like when you teach that, that mindset sticks with you. So you're always putting people before you because you don't want to be selfish. And that's where most people mess up. That's where you lose boundaries. That's where people run over you. That's where you become a doormat. That's where you lose your inner peace and your peace of mind. So in my opinion, being selfish means putting like your mind, your body, and your soul first.
Absolutely.
And all your decisions, whether it's work and your relationships, whatever it might be for you, just putting you first, mind, body, and soul at all times, having boundaries and all that good stuff. That's what being selfish is to me.
Okay. Perfect. So I totally agree with you. And I feel like I'm kind of working on that right now with myself. Like, so this whole year has been, I mean, it's been one for the books, right? Like we've all been tried this year. And I feel like personally, like with my own, with relationships, family, academics, the job search, like I always think about other people first and how my decisions will impact them. And so like right now, literally as of today, I'm still in the process of like trying to make sure that while I can consider other people's feelings, I need to really focus on myself and what's important for my future, my career, like how will a job impact how I want to move forward and things like that. And so I think, you know, trying to be selfish is hard too. Like I think for some people it's hard. Like, you know, when you're young, like people will call you selfish because you don't want to share a snack or you don't want to share some, you know, something small, but like it is actually hard to be selfish. Like when you really think about putting yourself first, it's hard. So like I think it's still gonna be hard for me. Like I feel like, you know, I'm only 30. I haven't learned all the life lessons that I can possibly learn. But this is one that I definitely want to focus on and making sure that I put myself first in a lot of different ways. So like for you, when did you decide that you wanted to start putting yourself first?
Man,
or are you still working on it?
I'm still working on it, but I did have a breaking point. Mm-hmm. My breaking point was work for me. That was my final straw. It was like, I can go through life not being selfish with my family. I can go through life not being selfish with my friends. But I can't go through life not being selfish for a job that don't care about me. Mm-hmm. And when that job like literally drove me insane, when that job took over my life where I was crying every single day, where I was going on my lunch break, sitting in the car crying, coming home every day, my husband complaining every single day, that's when I was like, you know what? I got to do something for me. It took me to the point where I got on anxiety medicine. Yeah. And that's when I knew I had been going to a therapist since December of 2019. And I was doing really good. All my sessions were super positive, and then she started to get concerned. And she was like, your job is triggering you. And she said, I didn't want to do this because you were getting so much better, but I think I want to refer you to a psychologist. And I think you need to start taking medication. And that's when I was like, my trigger is work, and my therapist is telling me I need to go see a psychologist because of my job.
Yeah, that's
crazy. This is just a place where I'm here to make money, like, and it's driving me insane. So at that point, I did take the medication and stuff like that, but I just decided I can't work here anymore, and I left the job. And when I left the job, I had more time to focus on like my self-care and birthing Insecure. Like I had these thoughts and these plans for like months, maybe even years. I've been wanting to do this stuff, and I never got the chance to do it. So that's where I am now. Do I sound okay?
Yes, the volume is good. Okay. So I think that's really important too, that you are already in the process of doing something for yourself, which is going to therapy. I think that's very awesome. And I really appreciate you even opening up about that, because it is a personal thing. But I think within the Black community, there's this huge stigma around going to therapy. And I even appreciate the therapist saying, hey, I recognize that you're doing well, but there are still things that I can't even assist you with. So let's take it a step further. So that's good that they didn't try to just, you know, take all your coins and like, I'm gonna just keep you here and I'm gonna need you to be where you are right now, but trying to propel you forward. So, I mean, I'm happy about all of that. And then too, I think what's great about being in this pandemic, some of the things that a lot of people we're not raving about on social media, is that we've all really had a chance to reflect, to have time to rest, to have time to do introspect, like really having an opportunity to think about ourselves, because we're not doing our busyness, our, you know, every day having to be somewhere, having to do something, and even at, you know, going out to events, even though that's social and technically taking care of yourself, having an opportunity to relax, but it's still being busy, sitting in traffic. And I know like Georgia traffic, LA traffic, I don't miss traffic. Okay, let me tell you, I've been chilling in this house, and I am not a in the house person. I'm a very, like, everybody knows.
Yeah, you all over the place. You're all over the place. Your name's like Traveling Zeta. So
right. Exactly. Yeah. And so like for me, it's definitely been an opportunity for me to sit still. And like I've been ripping and running for the past 10 years, from degree to degree, from location to location, from job to job. And this is the first time I'm literally like, it is actually an effort now for me to get up and get out the house. Like I'm like, if I ain't gotta go nowhere, cool. Like I'm chilling. And I think right. And so because of that, we've had this opportunity to build and create and, like you said, birth your baby. Like I did the same thing. I just started this podcast. Well, I technically started this podcast, this idea, in 2018 when I first moved to LA. And because I was so busy and working, I didn't have a chance to like really make it what I wanted it to be. And so finally this year in the summer, I was like, girl, what are you doing? Just go on and start something. Like no one is pressuring you. There's no timeline on this. There's no expectation of what this is supposed to look like and how it should look like for you. Just start recording episodes. Like just do it. Whatever you're gonna talk about, it don't even matter. Just start. And you know, I think it's important that we've had an opportunity to really just start some things, and then as you move forward in your career, you'll have a chance to build this out to look like whatever you want it to be. So okay, I'm so thrilled. Like I'm so happy to do this topic.
I see. It's good.
Okay, so let's talk about, you said that you've had an opportunity to start working on self-care. So like, what is your favorite self-care activity? And then do you have suggestions for other people?
First of all, I want to say, to piggyback off what you were saying about the pandemic and birthing new ideas. So often, especially on social media, people like to push investing in this, invest in your business for this, but nobody talks about investing in yourself. Like, instead of going crazy all the time thinking you have to be an entrepreneur because social media is telling you have to be doing something all the time, like just chill and invest in yourself, invest in your self-care. So I'm using that to merge into this topic of self-care. Self-care basically is anything that makes you feel good, and you'll know it when you're experiencing it. That's the best way I can explain it. I can't tell anybody what their form of self-care should be, because we all feel differently. Even as one single person, depending on the day of the week, my self-care may change. Like Sunday, I might enjoy yoga, and I got some sage burning, and I got my music playing, and I'm stretching, and as I'm stretching my body, I'm like releasing all the tension that I have. Like I'm seeing how far I can stretch based on what I want to release. Like that feels good to me. Then the next day, I might want to pamper myself and go get a facial and get my nails done or my toes done or whatever. And some days it's just laying in the bed or sitting in my car outside the apartment, just listening to music. I love music. And I just bought a brand new Jeep. It's been my dream car. I wanted for so long. So sometimes,
look, Jeep gang.
Sitting in the Jeep that I worked so hard for in life, that my broke self growing up couldn't imagine even having a $50,000 truck or however much it costs or whatever. that's big to me. So
Yeah.
just sitting in it and feeling it like you did this for yourself, and listening to music is just like that's self-care to me.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's gonna differ person to person. You have to find that thing that just makes you feel like, oh, I love being. It makes you feel like you like wrapped in a blanket, just sitting somewhere and you just comfortable. Like that's what self-care is to me. So, what do you do?
So that's a good question. And I always tell people one of the things that I do for self-care or as a stress reliever is to travel. And that's my number one passion is I love to travel. But when I travel, I make myself so stressed out because I'm always running late to the airport. I'm always forgetting something because I was waiting to the last minute to pack. So I'm never really getting myself to a state of really like true relaxation. But I have been on some trips that have been like amazing, like real vacations. But besides that, I also dance. That's one of my biggest stress relievers. Like I love going to like sweat. Like I don't want to just like dance and be cute. Like I intend to leave the club or the party like sweating out my outfit.
I remember you were undergrad. I remember.
And then I also like to eat, and so like trying new things or making things with my hands. And then like also arts and crafts is also one of the ways that I like to relax and just being engaged with something and kind of doing like tedious behavior, something that really stretches my mind. Like this summer I started working on waist beads, and that was something that I really wanted to do because I actually have purchased a lot of waist beads, but they always popped, and so that was really getting frustrating for me that the materials weren't lasting a long time. And so doing them myself, I was able to find a way to buy materials that didn't pop it, so my waist beads have lasted for a while now. And earlier in the summer when I was finishing my degree, I really wanted this custom piece of paraphernalia, and the Instagram page that I followed that had the item that I was trying to create, they weren't responding. And I'm like, bro, I'm trying to support y'all. I just need you to make this custom piece. You already have it for AKAs. I just need it for Zeta. I don't understand why y'all not responding. So they were like, so they never responded. So then I reached out to other people that I knew had the same like skill set that could do what I wanted done. And they were all trying to charge me buku money that I wasn't interested in spending. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it myself, and I'm gonna take it up a notch. So then I did it myself, and that was awesome for me, like to just relax, to just be in the zone with that. And then once it finally came out, everybody wanted to buy it for me, and I'm like, you know, this is custom, but like for me, it was just for me to do for myself. It wasn't necessarily to start something that was gonna sell. It was just a project that I like to do because I like working with my hands. So those are some of the things that I do. But
would you sell it? Would you invest in a clothing paraphernalia line?
You know, that's a good question, and I'm honestly still kind of toying with the idea, but it would really be like custom one of type things. It wouldn't be like I'm gonna make a bunch of the same thing, because I really like, for me, like having come into Greek life kind of twofold. Like I came in undergrad, and then I came in as in grad. I had a different rollout of paraphernalia, and so for me, I felt like people never had the stuff that I would want to wear. Like I always feel like, you know, it's the paraphernalia is always for older people, and I'm like, bro, I need something that's fashionable, like that I can get jiggy with. And so like, you know, I would love to do that for other people, but it would be, you know, for one person, and they're gonna be the only ones with it.
Like everything custom. So
okay. So we'll see. You know, somewhere down the line. But yeah, so that's what I do for self-care. It's just like being in tune with my body and with my hands, and just kind of taking my mind off of stuff, because I'm very much always the leader, and I'm always in charge of stuff. And so when I have the opportunity to not be making decisions, that is self-care for me.
See, it differs person to person. Prime example.
So, okay. So for you, as you're working through this new project that you're working on, I remember I saw a post that you put up, and I think it has to do with self-love or the love languages and what that looks like. And I think the post said, your love languages are what you didn't receive as a child from your parents. I think that was your post. And so like, can you speak to that and how self-care and, you know, your love languages and how that kind of all works together?
Okay, so the post did say that people often believe that your love language as an adult is probably what you didn't receive as a child. I didn't come up with the quote. It was something I seen that I was reiterating, but I agree with it because, for instance, my love language is words of affirmation. It's words of affirmation because I often felt like I didn't get the praise that I wanted growing up. And that also led to me being insecure. All of it is like all wrapped in together. I promise you. When you start dissecting this stuff, you'll realize everything is connected. But I needed somebody to tell me I was pretty. I needed somebody to tell me that as a little dark-skinned girl, you're beautiful. I needed somebody to tell me you may not have money, you don't have a family that has money, or you don't have the nicest clothes, but you're worth something. You're somebody. I always excelled in school. I made like AV honor roll all the time, like even throughout high school, and I was proud of that. But I don't feel like education was that important in my background. Like nobody was going to college or anything like that. So I wanted somebody to tell me, "Good job on your grades." Like I just needed words, and I never got them because that wasn't how my family is. Like we're not lovey-dovey and just loudly saying I love you and stuff like that. I didn't come from that. But that's what I felt like I needed. And as I grew up, because I didn't receive that and because I didn't get it from anybody, I didn't believe that I was beautiful. I didn't believe that I was worth anything or whatever. And as I started going to therapy and we started dissecting what was wrong with me, like what is causing you to be this way? And I went back and I'm like, that's why. And just so happens that that's the same language that I need in my relationships. That's why my husband is so perfect for me because he loves complimenting people. Not even just me as his wife, but he compliments people in general. So it's just like I need someone like that who doesn't mind. Oh, you look fine today, girl. Oh, you so sexy. And I might look a total mess, but he constantly is just telling me things. And just so happened, like I said, that's the same thing that I needed as a child. And for some people, it may be like physical touch and acts of service and quality time. It makes perfect sense to me when you think about it. It may not be the same for everybody, but it makes perfect sense for me. I really do believe in that.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think that makes a lot of sense. And it's so funny because my mom and I were just having a similar conversation earlier today in the store. She was telling me that when she was younger, her father didn't tell her, her father raised her and he did not tell her that he thought she was beautiful, like in any type of way. Or on a regular basis. And I was like, that's weird because I could have sworn you were a model when you were a child. And typically models are not ugly, right? And so I'm like, that doesn't make sense. And she was like, well, he took me to all my appointments, but my cousin May is the person who got me into that. And so, I think it's interesting that even though my grandfather wasn't verbally saying this, he was still supporting an avenue where she could be praised, where she could get that validation. Right. And so I think it's interesting in how that manifests from your childhood into your adulthood. And so like in our household, the words of affirmation is not a problem. My mother and my brother, they love to say good things. They love to say, like, when you're doing a good job, when they're proud of you, they will say, I love you. Like, oh my gosh, they get on my nerves with how much they say I love you. I cannot. And it's funny because, like, I'm opposite. Like, I'll be like, can y'all stop? Can y'all stop being so sappy? I'm over it. But my mom literally, like, she will beat you down with love you. Like, I'm like, chill out.
My mama is one of those tough cookies type of mamas. Like, she loves you because you just know it, but she don't really just say it like that. So.
Yeah. And it's crazy because like with my dad, I didn't grow up with him, but I think it's, I feel like he says it out of obligation. I don't know if he says it because it's just genuine, which is not a bad thing either, but it's just different because we don't have the same level of relationship that I have with my mother. Like we are very close. Like my mother is right here. Like does she know everything and I know everything. And so like, we're just very close. So it's just very interesting how she changed what she didn't have in her childhood and how she tries to make it in our household for us as we were growing up. But I think for myself, like my I think I have kind of a mixture of love languages that I like, or appreciate, and I think the main one is quality time. I'm very much a person who loves to show up for others, and I want them to show up for me. And if I just want to chill with you, I just want to chill with you. Like we don't necessarily have to be doing anything. We can literally just be sitting in each other's space, and I'm Gucci. Like, I would be the happiest girl in the world if we're just together. And I feel like sometimes that's hard for dudes too, because they're, I feel like, especially in this time, dudes always just want to have sex with you, and I'm like, I'm cool. Like, I don't need that, bro. Like, I just want to sit and watch TV, or I just want to sit and let you talk to me about what your plans are. Sit and talk to me about what's going on at work, or if you're working on music, sharing your music with me. I am the girl who's always like, hey, to whatever music he got going on.
I know.
But I just feel like quality time is super important. And then I also like giving gifts to people. Like, I love to give of like whatever it is that I think someone would like, I would like to give that to them. And so when I can't give, or like if I don't have the money to give, like I feel like I don't feel good because I can't do for you. And then and it's weird because it's like I shouldn't feel that way, but I do. Like, I always just feel like if I don't have the money to take care of something, then it's I'm not able to do what I think you are going to appreciate. And so then I'm like, I'm not meeting my end of the deal or whatever. I don't even know how to put that.
That's why you have to love people in their love language and not yours. Because you're thinking because you like giving gifts that other people are going to like receiving gifts. But it doesn't always mean that. Like, I can't force words of affirmation onto my husband. I have to love him in his language, not mine. So,
right. That's important. And you teaching me something, because I don't even think like that, but I need to. So that's great. Okay, so let's talk about. So wait, we have some more comments in the chat, and I just want to honor these. I think someone mentioned something about the waist beads. You're gonna have to DM me about that, because I haven't started selling those. And then Thirst Trap said quality time be too much, and so I'm guessing she doesn't like too much quality time. So look, I understand, and it's weird, like, for me, because I'm an extrovert, but I feel like I'm an introverted extrovert. So I do like my downtime. I do like my personal space. I don't need to be up underneath somebody all the time, but when we have time to be with each other, I do want to spend time with somebody. So okay, so let's talk. That's not her love language. Okay, that's cool. No stress there. What is your love language? Since you're telling us, let us know. What's your love language, Thirst Trap? Is to have. Wait. Her husband's is to have. Oh, so she has to make a sacrifice. Okay, so she has to spend quality time with her husband. Okay, well, look, you gotta love somebody in their love language. So I love that. I'm gonna put that in the caption after this. So okay. So let's talk about mental health. You talked about having to quit your job and going through the stress around that. So let's just talk about, like, you could also talk about mental health in other aspects, but if you want to start with your job, that's cool. And if not, also, you don't have to talk about it, but just trying to figure out, like, once you got to that breaking point, how did you make that decision to quit? And then, like, just walking by faith, I guess, to decide to quit and, waiting for that next job and things like that.
Okay. I'm gonna say this, and I want everybody to like really, really understand it and take it in. In order to get the best out of your mental health, you have to be like 100% committed to wanting the best for your mental health. So with that being said, you're gonna have to sacrifice things sometimes. I had a really good paying job. Like, people who didn't make that much money would probably look at me and say, why would you leave a job making that much money, blah, blah, blah. And I realized that, and that's what kept me there. It's like, I'm making all this money. I'd be stupid to leave this job. Yeah. But I had got to the point where my mental health meant more to me than anything. Like, I was committed to it. I was like, I know over the years, I've talked about getting better and healing and blah, blah, blah. And I've just been kind of talking the talk and not walking the walk. At this point, I'm burnt out and I'm losing myself. I'm crying every day. I'm losing weight. My hair is falling out. This is the point where you say, okay, mental health is going to go up here on the list.
Yeah.
And that's when it was easy for me to quit. I went into work on a Monday, not even planning to quit. I was at work and it was just like, you know what? I'm gonna write a resignation letter. I swear that's how it happened. I swear I had been talking about it. Like I'm in the chat with my line sisters. They listening to me complain, like, guys, have y'all ever left a job before? Like just asking stupid questions because I'm like, I'm scared. I didn't want to do it. But that's how I knew it was time, because when the time came, I wasn't scared no more.
Yeah.
It was like, I just was like, I'm gonna write a resignation letter. Coincidentally, one of our sorors works in HR. So I kind of got hooked up with her, and she kind of gave me a rundown on everything I needed to know as far as leaving the company in good standing.
That's
so
good.
When I went to her office and was like, Soror, what's up? And I got the rundown, and she gave me that full confidence that I needed to just go. I typed up that letter and I sent it that same day. I didn't sit on it for a few days or nothing. I typed it up and I sent it straight to my boss. Wow. And I left work feeling like a brand new woman. Like when I tell you in that moment, like my shoulders just like, I just relaxed. Yeah. I hadn't even left yet. I even gave him the courtesy of 2 weeks because part of me wanted to just leave that day and be like, bye. But you know, I was like, I'm not gonna burn no bridges. This company, I might need this company down the line again. Yeah. So I wouldn't advise anybody to make decisions that they'll regret. So if you are going to sacrifice something, make sure you're smart about it. Like I said, I wasn't nasty. I didn't just walk off the job and say F y'all, nothing like that. Right. But that was the point where I realized you are actually committed to this journey that you're on. This isn't just talk anymore. Like you're actually doing the walk. You just left all this money, all these bands, and you don't know where your income gonna come from next. But you just have so much faith in God and so much commitment to yourself that it's easy for you. It's easy to walk away from money when you're dedicated to loving yourself and dedicated to having just a good mental health in general. So,
which I feel like is super important, and I'm extremely proud of you because quitting a job in the middle of a pandemic, baby, it wouldn't be me. Okay, I'm gonna wait till the world opens back up.
I know it was crazy. It was crazy, but I did it, and it worked out. It worked out.
And that's good because now, like you said earlier, you're starting a new job, and it's going to be in I'm assuming for you, Metro Atlanta is going to be a good area to be in. So I'm here for all of that. I feel like the last time I had to do that was in 2016. I was working in a position that I was actually very excited about, and I really loved working with my students. Like I was like, this is awesome. But the issue was my supervisor, and he was like sent from hell. He was like the most ridiculous little man, and he was just trying my nerves. He was so disrespectful. He was always basically degrading us in our staff meetings, and it just seemed like he was just trying to make our jobs so much harder than they really needed to be. And it was like we just could not satisfy his expectations. And I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna stand for this. And what really broke, so basically what I started doing was speaking back. Like I started talking for and advocating for myself and for my coworker, and I was just like, you can't talk to us like this. It is not okay for you to act like this and treat us like this, and especially in a public setting. Like I can understand if you want to reprimand me in my one-on-one, but don't put me on blast when we're in a staff meeting. Like that's not okay. And so that's where it started, and then it escalated because. So I had been in the position for a year at this point, and it was in a position where there are certain days that you really just should not ask off. So I didn't. I was respectful of those days. I wanted to make sure that, you know, all the duties that I needed to complete were done and everything was cool. So I put in my notice to request time off for like 3 weeks after that time frame. So like everything would have been wrapped up and whatever. He didn't approve it. So I went back and I asked again, like, I need this time off. I'm taking my brother out of the country for his birthday. Like I need these times off because honestly everything's booked. And he just didn't, he was not going to give it to me. And so I was like, okay, well, Mom, can you help me write this resignation letter real quick? Can you help me type this up? Because I'm out of here, bro. Like I'm going on this trip. Okay? Yeah. So I wrote the letter, and I wasn't confident. I wasn't ready to leave. I really enjoyed my job. But I just couldn't deal with him no more. So I was like, you know what? I think I sat on it for like a couple of days, and then I finally turned the letter in. And what happened was, this is the crazy thing. He had got a new boss just before this incident. And so the new boss was like, no, don't let her leave. You're being ridiculous. Like, keep her on. And he came back to me and was just like, this is the situation. Da, 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 da. And I was like, no, I'm out of here. And I didn't have a job set up. I was gonna lose my housing because housing was included with the job. And I was just like, and I was in a new city. Like, I had no reason. I had nowhere to go, nothing to do. Like, I was like out there on my own. So it was getting really real for me. But at the end of the day, I wasn't gonna sit there and take that abuse anymore. Like, mental and emotional abuse is real, and I wasn't here for it. So literally in that moment, and I've lived by that decision since, is that I am going to design the life that I want to live. And so I try to honor that and honor myself in that, because I know what I like. I know what I don't like anymore. And I know what I value in my work experiences and what I should accept behavior wise, because even, you know, people are only going to do what you allow them to do. So if you allow them to treat you like trash, if you allow them to talk to you crazy, if you allow them to underpay you and overwork you, they're going to continue to do that.
That's why you gotta have boundaries.
Right.
At all times. Yeah.
Exactly. And so that was my breaking point. And I was just like, you know what, because one of the crazier thing was, he had said to somebody, like, I think it was in a staff meeting perhaps, he was just like, she takes off more days than the rest of us. And I was like,
why he had to call you out like that in the meeting?
That's number one. But number two, I get PTO. You thought I was gonna let it sit and accumulate?
You gotta use it. Like, people be trying to like make you feel bad about using your vacation days. Like, I'm not gonna sit on my vacation days. I'm gonna go on vacation. Like, why are you sitting here bragging about overworking yourself? Like,
right.
Anyway,
and then on top of that, because I was the younger person on staff and I didn't have any children or a partner or whatever, I always worked all the holidays. So anytime that they wanted to spend time with their families, I showed up and I did the on-call and the on-duty or whatever. So for you to have an issue with me deciding to take my vacation time in the middle of like a very slow time of the year, it shouldn't have been a problem. It should have been a yes off bat. We shouldn't have even got to the point of me wanting to leave the position. So, you know, it's just crazy what happens out here. But yes, I do think it's important to recognize when a job is taking you beyond your comfort level, and if they're, you know, stressing you out and making you lose your ability to maintain your sanity. I just, it's not okay.
Just leave.
So, let me see where we at. We got more people. Let's see. God will always make a way. This is facts. Thirst Trap says she quits jobs all the time. You go ahead, sis. Let me tell you, you go ahead. And then what does it say? Take you on a journey. Oh, I love the way that's spelled. Okay. Take you on a journey, said follow your heart. God will work it out. Yeah. And then Thirst Trap said mental and emotional abuse on the job is real. Exactly. And and she said those are her days and she's gonna take them. So yeah, so I do think it's important, especially as young people, and for us as Black women, we need to assert ourselves in the workplace and to take your time off. Like, they don't give you vacation days and sick days for them to just sit, because sometimes if you leave a job, regardless of how long you've been there, you may not get to take that money with you, and depending on how and on the job, it may not roll over. So if you don't use it, you lose it. And I'm not about losing. I'm not losing it. I'm taking these days.
Speaking of that, while we're on the topic, I want to say this as far as me losing my job. And I probably won't ever speak on this again, because I just want to get past that part of my career.
Right.
I worked in that position for going on 6 years. January would have made 6 years I was with that company. For the most part, I had the same bosses those entire 6 years. I reported to an associate director and then the direct director, the main director. Basically, I worked with them long enough to where we've had plenty of lunches together, spent plenty of time together. You know, outside of work, y'all calling me on Saturdays, on Sundays, after hours. Anything you need from me as far as what's going on at the facility I'm working at, I'm answering the phone for you all the time.
Yeah.
When I turned in my resignation letter up until today, I have yet to get any word from those two bosses. As
Wow.
far as they talked to me, maybe each one of them may have talked to me once as far as work related stuff, but they never even came to me and said, "Why are you leaving? What are your concerns?"
Yeah.
I worked for them for almost 6 years.
Yeah.
So the reason I say that is because I was, like I said, so focused on money, not wanting to lose this job. Like, I didn't come from nothing. So to make what I was making was like, I felt hood rich or something, as they would say. Like, it was just like, you're doing really good. Like, you can't, like, you just made it. You made it in your family. You can't leave this job. So I would do anything. I would come to work. I could be like all the way in Atlanta chilling, and something would happen at the job site, and it could be a Sunday. We're not even supposed to be at work, and they need me there, and I'm an hour away, and I have to stop in the middle of whatever I'm doing and go all the way back to work. And whatever I go to work for may have took 10 to 15 minutes. Wow. But I just ruined my whole weekend. Basically the point is I was overly dedicating myself to a job. And when it got to the point where I told them I was leaving and I had worked for these people for so long, like, you basically became like my work uncles or something. Like, you're the men that I have been reporting to for 6 years. You groomed me. You watched me go from this position all the way up to this position, and you didn't even ask me what was wrong. You didn't even say, what can we do to make this better before you leave? You didn't even say, I wish you well. If you need a reference, I got you. They didn't do none of that.
That's crazy.
Up until the day that I walked off the job, I never even heard from my bosses. So that should tell people that these people don't care about you. Do not overly dedicate yourself to these jobs. They're going to, like, the mission statement be all on this family values and all that kind of crap. Them people do not care. They don't care. So always put yourself first and your mental health first, because they don't care. Period.
And it's funny that you said that, because I had a similar experience, and I've had it twice. So after the job that I just talked about, when I turned in, like, on my last day, I had to go around and, like, get signatures on stuff, turn in keys, like, do all that type of stuff. On that day when I had to turn in my paperwork to my supervisor, he didn't even talk to me. I literally walked into the suite. His admin took my paperwork. I asked, could I go in and, speak to him or at least say bye? And he literally he basically ignored my presence, and made it. So it was really one of the saddest days for me in my career, because I really didn't want to leave. I really didn't. But I felt like if I had stayed, based on how the whole situation went down, he was going to hold it over my head if I stayed there. And so I didn't want to have that experience either. And, that was in 2016. And there have been times over the past few years that I've wanted to reach out to him. I wanted to say something. Like, when I finished my PhD, I wanted to say something. But like, we haven't talked in all this time, and we didn't talk on my last day. And it was just like, it didn't have to happen like that. And I wish that it hadn't, because, like, who wants to have that experience on their way out? And then while I was working in my PhD program, I had a supervisor, he wasn't like my direct supervisor, but he was a person who was basically signing off on my checks. And when I made a decision to leave, because this was also for my mental health, when I made a decision to leave my PhD program, being there in person, one of my biggest issues was my graduate assistantships and the continuance of those positions. And no one asked me, hey, what's wrong? Is anything going on that we can fix? How can I help you stay here? It was just, we'll support you, and I know we're going to help you get done with your degree from wherever you go. Not thinking about the fact that, what if I don't actually want to leave? Like, I'm not trying to leave. I worked really hard to try to stay. Like, I tried to find full-time jobs in Baton Rouge. I tried to find full-time jobs in New Orleans. I looked for other GA positions. I had talked to people. I was trying to get connected and trying to stay, but it was just like, no one was offering the support that I was looking for to help me stay. And it was just like, why are y'all not thinking about this? Versus, and y'all rather just say, like, oh, well, Sunshine's leaving. Okay. One of them, and to your point about being overly dedicated, I was on that campus all day. every day. A student needed something, y'all needed something, I'm showing up for y'all, and I'm saying that I can't take it anymore and I'm unhappy, and no one is saying, why are you unhappy?
Right. That's all I needed. Like, I just felt like in the beginning, the first week, it was kind of like no one cared. No one was saying anything because I don't think they took me seriously. I think they thought I was going to renege on it and take it back.
Right.
When they saw how serious I was, like so many people tried to talk fear into me so that I wouldn't leave. Or you just gonna leave without a job? You're gonna lose your health insurance benefits and money. You know, just trying to say all these things to scare me away. And I was like, I'll be straight. Right. I was like, that's what I got a husband for. You know, I was like, I'll be fine. Like I was so like looking forward to dedicating to mental health and just having that time off that I didn't care what nobody told me. Like I was gonna leave. And it's just like not like maybe a few days before, that's when people were trying to like, well, maybe we can get someone to come down from corporate to spend some time with you and, you know, try to give me the things that I had been asking for the 2 years I was there. But a few days prior to me leaving, you're offering me that help. So that means you had the help all along. You had the ability. You just didn't want to. And I felt like I was kind of just like a Black female, first Black, and then female at that in a male-dominated industry. And you just throw me out there.
Yeah.
From the beginning, they just threw me out there. I kept hearing, we're going to come down there and train you in 2 weeks. 2 weeks came. Oh, we'll be there in 2 weeks. I was a manager in a very important role, and I never got trained. Wow. I literally learned my job and was damn good at it from learning by myself.
Yeah.
They never came. And that's another example of they didn't care. But all these other people, I would realize other managers at other facilities, mainly white managers, they were at their facilities all the time. My boss would visit there and visit here and visit here, you know, just visiting and being on site and spending time with managers and training and teaching them and stuff. But you never came to my location. I wonder why that is. And I'm sitting here asking you for help. So it's just, that just I'm kind of going backwards. But that was kind of reasons that just was like, you got to leave here because they don't care about you.
Right.
And you're worth way more than this. And I think a lot of people need to like evaluate their jobs and see.
Yeah.
Does this place even care about me or probably not, but
exactly. And I think it's important to start paying attention to your red flags and like what is showing up as a negative thing and keeping track of that. And so I in my very last position, I actually had, it was not a good experience, and from the jump my mom started to advise me to say, like, you should keep track of what's going on. And so I started keeping an Excel spreadsheet with the date in the incident. And when I left the institution, I turned that into HR, and it was a lot. A lot was going on in our little department of 4 people. And it was just ridiculous. And I was like, I don't understand how the supervisor was able to stay in this role and doing all of these really awful things. And I was like, you know what, y'all are clearly comfortable with this person being here. Cool, this is not the space for me. And look, it's gone. And so I'm out of here. And so I just think it's important, though, to keep a track record, because if something, you know, were to happen down the line, you're able to point out, you know, examples of things that are going on, and you can cover yourself if something happens. And I think also it's important in situations like this, just speaking to the job part of it, is to have an ally and someone that knows things that are, you know, above you, that they know more about the institution or the facility, whatever it may be, and can help you navigate situations like that, because it can be difficult. And especially like for you, you had the soror who happened to be in HR, so that's fantastic. We all are not going to be lucky enough to have a soror in HR, but to find someone that can be an ally for you. And I was able to find that at my last job, and it did actually happen to be a soror, but she was just in a different department within our division, and she was able to help me navigate that time. But the great thing about that too is because I had her as an ally, I'm also able to use her as a reference, and I know that she speaks positively about me in the, you know, in my job search. And so I think that's important too, is that, like you said earlier, like not burning bridges and making sure that you know, you do leave on a positive note, because you don't want it to come back later to haunt you, but at the same time, you know when it's time to go for yourself. So
exactly.
So, okay, so let's talk about setting boundaries. And that can be in relationships, it could be in work, it could be in school, or organizations that you might be a part of. But like, what does setting boundaries look like for you?
First, I'll say that through my experiences that I've been heartbroken a lot and I've been hurt a lot. Mm-hmm. And I hate that I have to go through those things, but each time it's taught me to use a new boundary, or to, you know, put up this, not a wall, but like, it just helps me to create boundaries. Yeah. I'll just say that. Mm-hmm. For instance, this job, I'll start there since we're already on that topic. I hate how I had to leave the job, but I learned so much about what I'm going to do in my next job, that I'm so excited to go into my next role that I know I'm not going to have to worry about my mental health at work anymore, because I've already dealt with it and I've already learned what I'm going to accept and what I'm not going to accept. Right. Boundaries at work, not letting people joke around with you and say things that you don't appreciate. Mm-hmm. And you kind of just laugh it off for the sake of work. That's not happening no more. If you say something sideways to me, I'm probably gonna check you on it right away. So that's not happening. Availability, like I was saying, I overly dedicated myself in my last role. When I'm on vacation or when I say I'm off, don't contact me. I'm not answering the phone. Like I used to. I could be on vacation. I went to Honduras last year by myself, enjoyed myself, and something happened at work and nobody else could figure it out. So y'all mean to tell me y'all gotta call me while I'm on vacation in Honduras because it's something that everybody here should know, but y'all want to just disturb me on my vacation to call me, but I answered. So I would vent and be mad about it and fuss about it and come home complaining about it, but I kept allowing it. Right. Every time the phone would ring, I was answering it. So if I don't have that boundary saying don't call me, then people gonna call me. So yeah, that's another one. Just respecting your time, respecting you as a person. In relationships, man, I've learned so much about relationships. I don't even know where to start.
Well, start somewhere, girl. Teach us. Let us know.
Don't ignore red flags, man. For real. Don't ignore red flags, because I can tell you, looking back at every relationship that ever hurt me, there was always something in the very, very, very beginning that I saw that I just chose to not ignore, to ignore. And I'm like, I could have saved myself from that. Yeah. But I chose to stay in it because you might be fine, or there's some kind of pro, you know, and it just makes you ignore, and now you're hurt. So I left my last relationship, was terrible, man. Outwardly, it looked like it was good and it looked healthy, but I dealt with so much inside that relationship that helped shape me as a woman. So this process of healing kind of started with that relationship, to be honest, because I think with that relationship, I felt pain in a way that I had never felt before. Mm-hmm. Like, it was so emotionally abusive, and it became physically abusive at one point. Mm-hmm. And that was another low in my life. The second low would probably be the work burnout. But the first one of realizing, like, having that light bulb of self-care was that relationship. Yeah. That was another time where I was able to walk away from something that usually would be hard for me to walk away from. But I realized I was so, like, messed up from it that I had to go. Yeah. So I would definitely say I hate that I didn't look at those signs and pay attention to them and leave when I had the chance. Mm-hmm. So if you know you're not going to accept something in a relationship, or you know you don't like something and you see it early on, address it. If they're willing to compromise and change, great. If they're not, you probably should just leave right then, because it's not going to get better. It's not like over time they're going to fall in love with you so much that they're going to change who they are. That's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. So just in the beginning, make sure you know what you want, and just leave when you don't see potential in the person, you know?
Right.
So, yeah, that's pretty much what I'll say about boundaries. I can go on and on about boundaries, but I'll leave it there. I'll leave it there.
Well, I think it's important to recognize that we should give ourselves grace as well. And as we go through relationships and trying to figure out what we like and what we don't like, what we're willing to accept and compromise on, like that takes time to figure out. And for those of us who may or may not have had good examples of relationships growing up, you may not know what that looks like. If you've been in some terrible relationships and all you know is terrible, you might not understand when something is good or when it's good for you. And so trying to figure that out. And I think it's important to like have these conversations, to talk about this with your friend groups, talk about this with a therapist, talk about it with a mentor, you know, whatever. Maybe you can have a relationship mentor. Like that is a thing. You can have someone that you confide in about what's going on. And if they're advising you to leave, listen to them. Don't just, you know, sit there and vent and then go right back to the issues. Like there's I think it's 7 billion people in the world. You will find another person that can love you and love you right.
For real.
And I like, for me, I think one of the hardest things for me is that I've said this on a few episodes, like I have not been in any long-term relationships. So I don't know what it's like to go past 3 months with an actual boyfriend. Like I've had situationships and entanglements, like whatever that have last years, but an actual true and genuine boyfriend, girlfriend relationship, I haven't had one that lasted past 3 months. So for me, I don't even know what that looks like. I don't know what it feels like. And I tell my family this all the time, like I've never celebrated any holidays with a person. I've never had any milestone anniversaries with a person. So like working up to all of that, I'm still trying to figure that out and learning what that looks like. And it takes time. So I don't feel like people should listen to this and think like, oh, well, I'll know exactly what it is when I see it. No, you might not know it the first time. It might take the second relationship to figure it out. And two, like a lot of people have been traumatized, they've been abused, and then when they're not receiving that type of interaction with the person, they think that the person doesn't love them. They think that there's something wrong. But that's not the case. You're just actually being treated how you should be treated.
Right. I had to learn that.
Right. And there's just so many layers to this. Like this particular part of the topic could be talked about for ages. But I am not a relationship expert. I'm not a guru. I don't know that much. I just know what I go through. And just trying to make sure that like you said, like pay attention to the red flags and pay attention to the green flags too. And knowing when something is good and when it's not is super, super duper important. What would you say is, well, now you married, girl, so you committed to somebody for life. But what would you say? We can talk about him. What would you say was like a green flag that popped up in the beginning that made you think like, yes, this is the one?
It was easy, and what I mean by that is everything was just easy. Like nothing felt forced. With my ex, I was constantly like translating my spirit to him, like trying to explain stuff. And when you have to overly translate who you are to a person, 9 times out of 10, you probably just don't need to be with that person because y'all clearly aren't compatible and you don't understand each other. But with my husband, Chris, everything was just easy. Like the friendship aspect is easy. Like we're able to be homegirls and homeboys with each other. Easy. It's like submitting to him was easy. Part of the reason why me and my ex butted heads was because he felt like I wasn't submissive enough to him. And I'm like, I'm not going to be submissive to a man that I'm not even happy with. But when you are happy with somebody, it's true. I've seen people say that when women are happy, you know, they naturally do submit to a man. And I found myself submitting to him in ways that I had never for nobody else. And I'm like, Angie, what's going on? You get a little too friendly with this guy because you're just doing things you ain't did before. And I just got so comfortable with him. And we met each other's families early on. Like everything was just flowing so well. And we just quickly became like attached to one another. And that's how I knew like this is it. Like even to this day, we haven't really even had like that big, you know how most relationships, everybody have a falling out or you break up to make up. We ain't never fell out with each other or anything. Like we might be mad at each other for a few hours or something. But that's another sign. We never stay angry with one another. Like we just don't do that around here. So
well, I'm very happy to hear that. And I do think that's important because I feel like when you do have to force something or you have to try so hard to make somebody understand you, like that's definitely out. It's not worth it. So I'm with you 100% on that. And I personally can see the difference. Like, you know, I've known you for I don't even know how many years it's been since. I mean, I became a sweetheart in 2010.
I was 11, so we met in 11.
Okay, so it's been basically 10 years, right?
Pretty much 11. Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, well now I feel like I'm aging myself, but but I've known you for so long, and I feel like this is like genuinely like I see you glow when you post on Instagram, and then even when I saw you earlier this year in January, it just was a different vibe about you, and I was really happy to see that. So like I can tell that you are in a much better place, and that is great too when people can see it on you. And I was like, what's going on, girl? Tell me the tea. Because I needed to know.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk really because we got through this hour pretty quickly. What is right, exactly. I was just like, wait a minute. What is so you talked earlier about having been in therapy. I don't know if you're still going.
Yeah.
But how would you suggest someone to find that as a resource, and what types of, I don't know, maybe like what types of, if you know of any resources, can you share them? And then two, if you, like, why would someone want to go to therapy? Like, what would be a reason that someone would feel compelled to go?
Okay, so I'm going to start with why you need to go. You need to go to therapy because no matter how much you try to train yourself to heal, no matter how much you confide in your homegirls or your homeboys, no matter how good their advice is, you need somebody that can listen to you and develop a plan for you. Your friends cannot do that. Your parents cannot do that. Your spouse or your significant other cannot do that for you. Like a therapist is going to be all those people in one, and they're going to give you plans and just give you activities and homework to better yourself. That's why you need to go. It's like a crazy difference. I tried therapy once before when I was living in Tennessee, and I didn't feel like it was effective then. And the reason I didn't feel like it was effective was because one, I don't think I was committed to it then. That goes back to me saying you have to be committed to your mental health. I felt like I was just going because therapy had became a trend, and I was like, well, let me go see if I like it. And I just didn't really feel like she was giving me what I needed. But maybe she was, and I just wasn't receiving it because I wasn't there mentally yet to say, okay, I'm dedicated to it. Like at the time, that's when I knew my relationship was failing. That's when I knew I was being abused, and she was trying to help me out of the relationship. And in between sessions, I would still be going back with him. That's the only reason why my therapy wasn't effective the first time, was because I had this person there and willing to help me and making me see like, honey, you're being emotionally abused. You're dealing with a manipulator. You're dealing with a narcissist and all these things. This person's helping me and telling me, she's giving me that green light to run. But I was running toward the danger. And I just stopped going to her. So when I moved down here to Georgia, I was, once again, this is when I dedicated myself to healing my insecurities or whatever. It's a website called psychologytoday.com, psychologytoday.com. If you go on there and search therapists in your area, it'll pull up all the therapists, and you can get down like super descriptive. You can pick their race, you can pick their age group, you can pick what they specialize in. That's how I found the therapist in Tennessee as well. So when I got here in Georgia, I found my new therapist on there, and I seen she was a Black woman. She was young. She went to a HBCU. Like their whole bio is on that website. Nice. So that also leads into my next tip, where if you're gonna go to a therapist, try to pick somebody that you feel like is gonna relate to you. Because I swear that makes a ton of a difference. Like I had Black women both times. But the Black woman I was with before, you can't always assume just because somebody Black that you know that you're gonna be relatable. And she was super sweet. Nothing was wrong with her at all. She was a great lady. But my therapist now, she talks like me. She acts like me. She's a turn up girl. She went to HBCU. She's an AKA. And who would have thought that I would be going to an AKA therapist and enjoying it? But none of that matters because she's a woman who's trying to help me. Yeah. And we relate in so many ways. And she's like in her mid to late 30s. So she's already going through some things to where off record, even, you know, in therapy, we go off record and she'll give me advice on just as a woman and not as a therapist, what she would do. No. And that's only if you're comfortable with your therapist like that to take tips. Yeah. But I would definitely say make sure you try to pick someone that you feel like you relate to. Don't feel like once you pick one therapist, you have to stick with them. If you don't feel like they're the one, just find you another one. But I really enjoy going. I look forward to it all the time. I was going every week. Now I'm every 2 weeks, so that's better. I have improved so much. Like if she was sitting right here, she would tell y'all the girl that walked in at that first session is so much different today. So go to therapy. Is basically the point. Yeah, go.
Perfect. So I definitely am an advocate for therapy. I personally want to start going to therapy, but I'm waiting until I relocate. But I do think it's important, and I really want to encourage people to break down the stigmas that we have around it within our community, and to just recognize that what's been done does not need to be done moving forward. Going to church and praying is not always going to fix your issues. Going to your mama and telling her what's wrong is not going to fix your issues. Going to your homegirl and your homeboy, they're not going to be able to fix your issues. And some of this stuff is a lot deeper than we even know, that we can even recognize. And so having someone that can help you work through that, I think is super duper important. And especially because you want to show up as your best self, as the best version of who you are, and working on yourself and making an effort to do that. And like you said, committing to that, I think is super duper important as well. So so thank you very much for talking to me and us and all the people who joined us tonight. Thank you to everybody who joined in. I'm so excited that these features are bringing more people into this space, because when I first started doing this, it was just me, and I had people coming in, but nobody was really like talking, and I'm like, I want y'all to talk to me. And so the features and especially this topic, we really have some great folks to engage with us, so I'm really happy about that. If you want to shout out the person on your shirt, you can do that, or who made your shirt, and then I'll shout out mine, and then we'll wrap up.
Okay, so I am wearing a Proper High tee from my line sister, Dr. Lydia Murphy. She's a doctor of pharmacy. I be bragging on y'all doctors, so before I move forward, sorry, Lydia, can you please tell people what you just graduated with? Please.
So my name is Dr. Ariel Williams. My nickname is Sunshine, and so that's what I go by and refer to myself during the podcast. But I've just graduated with a PhD in higher education administration. I defended in May, and my degree was conferred in August.
Congratulations. That's so amazing.
Thank you, girl.
I just had to get that out. But back to my t-shirt. Proper High is the line. It comes from her brand Thirst Trap on Instagram. I wrote it down. It's @_thirst with 2 T's at the end.
Okay.
And then _trap. She's been in the comments, so just look in the comments if you're not sure. Yeah. Awesome merchandise. If you're into this type of stuff, I'll just say that. So yeah, go check her out.
Okay, awesome. So then on my shirt, I have on a crew neck that says Finer Womanhood, and this is It's supposed to be a chenille patch. It's not as chenille for me, so I'm not gonna do a review on it right now. But it's huge, like it takes up my whole chest. But this is from Bebop Greeks, Bloody and but Unbowed. I can't remember what their name is, but that's their Instagram is Bebop Greeks. But they're changing now. I just recently was following her page, and she posted that she's gonna stop doing the Greek paraphernalia. So if you're interested in getting her stuff, I would do it ASAP. And then they're switching over to focusing on their like lifestyle and HBCU brand, which is called Tones of Melanin. So you can get other clothing items from them. They really do have really dope clothes. She has like reversible bomber jackets and subliminated, I believe is the way you pronounce it, subliminated jerseys and all types of cool dope stuff like sweatsuits and all this stuff. So like I'm totally a huge fan of their products. And I encourage anybody to support a Black owned business, and especially a Black woman owned business. So yeah, so outside of that, is there anything else you want to tell people, what projects you're working on, how they can follow you, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, like I said, Insecure is my baby that I just created like less than a month ago. So I really would appreciate everybody could follow me. I'm still trying to get my following. I'm doing a little bit of posting, but I'm trying not to do too much because I want it to land on the right people. So I'm just trying to build that crowd. So if you go follow that page, it's going to be @__. It's 2 underscores, Insecure. So it's the word insecure with a D at the end. Follow me on there. There's also an Insecure Facebook page. It's just Insecure straight out if you search it on Facebook. And then I have a YouTube channel that I just started working on. It's Insecure by Angie B. So if you follow me on Instagram, the link is in the bio there, so it'll be easier to do it that way. So that way you can follow me and follow the link and subscribe on my YouTube channel. I just started. I want to start a podcast, so I wasn't sure if I was going to be comfortable with it. But doing this is my first one ever. So thank you for popping my podcast cherry. But I actually like it. I feel really comfortable. So my podcast I'll probably upload a video onto the YouTube channel. I think I can do that, right? Can I do like a video podcast and upload it to a podcast type thing? I don't know. I haven't thought that far into it, but just follow me and I'll update you guys on what's coming next.
So we can talk offline, but that's what I do. I record all my live shows on Instagram, and then I edit them and then put them on YouTube. And so I have like 10 videos up on YouTube. The link's in my bio.
Okay.
But yeah, once you get, and this is just a side note to you, once you get 100 subscribers on your YouTube, you'll be able to have a custom URL. So you could put youtube.com/insecure or whatever you want. So the first goal is going to be 100. Yeah, and I'm still working towards my 100 as well, so I understand the struggle. But to be like a real YouTuber, you have to be so consistent and you have to post so many videos. So just building up that portfolio of what you're gonna put on there. It takes time. So let's make sure that we support Angie and all that she has going on. Again, congratulations on your marriage and this new job. And I cannot wait to see what awesome things happen for you in 2021.
Yeah, thank you, girl. Thank you. You're doing so well.
Thank you. Okay, so thank y'all for joining episode 19 of Everything Under the Sun, the podcast. The topic was selfish, and we had Angie B from Insecure with us, and I am so grateful. And I hope that y'all learned something tonight, and I will see y'all next week.
All right. Bye, guys.
Okay.